Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawes County Board of Commissioners work session. Today's Thursday, August the 4th, 2022. We appreciate those with us in attendance as well as those that are with us online. We'll get right into the new business. First up, we have presentation of application for parade and assembly 5-star NTP bootlegger triathlon. Ms. Sharon Fair.
Yes, good evening. You have all the information in your backup. The GDOT has been in communication with Harmony G. You've seen this route before. The reason we have to bring these to you as opposed to special events is this is in public right of way, not on private property. So that's the difference.
We're looking at changing that, right?
We have a draft that's already in the county attorney's hands.
Thank
you. Not that county attorney,
Okay.
but in their hands.
Questions for Sharon? It's a repeat.
Yeah, you've seen the route. It's
Yeah.
the same graphics. It's just a different event.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next up, we have presentation of land donation agreement. County Attorney, Ms. Davis.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm so sad that Commissioner Fawcett is not here tonight because this is one she has worked diligently on, for probably more than 6 months or so. And that is a donation of property from the donors named Miss Ann Stiles. This is a situation where Ms. Stiles approached the county and graciously wanted to donate some property to the county for the county's use. And it consists of 35 acres and a little bit in one tract and 5.73 acres in another tract that's going to be donated to the county. And that's just a general description. It's specifically described in Exhibit A, which is your property description exhibit. And if it meets with the approval of the commission tonight, I would propose that we go ahead and move it to the voting session so that we can vote to accept it. Upon accepting this donation agreement, which has already been signed by Ms. Stiles, we have some work to do. There's a due diligence period that we will commence at that point. But otherwise, I think Commissioner Fawcett would say this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for the county. Very gracious to the Stiles family for thinking of the county with this particular land donation. And it's something I think everybody has reason to be very excited about coming to fruition tonight.
Questions for the county attorney? Y'all good with moving it forward? All right, thank you, ma'am. Next up, Sheriff Johnson is with us. Come on up, Sheriff. Sheriff has a request to increase the pay for officers who do our school traffic to match what the school board has already agreed to do. So go ahead, Sheriff.
Great. Thank you, board. I appreciate your last minute allowance of me coming to you. It's advised Wednesday evening that Nicola Cave, the school superintendent, had approved for the school to increase their rate of $10 an hour. To give you a little background, when we originally, SROs used to do the school traffic in addition to their other duties. So one thing that we tried to do was obviously increase school safety. We wanted them in the school system before and after school. So with an agreement with the board and the Board of Ed, we have been staffing that with off-duty deputies. Obviously, the time's a little bit different. It's odd to get someone in here at that time of day with their shifts the way they work and in the evening times. So in an effort to increase participation in that, we did have some discussions with the board or superintendent about increasing it. She did get it approved by $10 an hour. So we'd like to ask the board to match that on our end. Still a 50-50 match.
Okay, and that comes to, for the board's knowledge, that comes to $3,600 from what I've been told.
That sounds correct.
And that's going from 4 to 3, right?
Yes,
I'm sorry. Sir.
That's going from 4 to 3.
4
On
officers.
Personnel.
Yeah, on the
That-
personnel.
yes.
4.
Yeah.
And what schools are they at? What schools do y'all do?
They'll still remain at the high school and go down to Robinson in that area on perimeter as well as the middle school.
Yeah.
I would like to see if the board would by chance approve it this evening or add it to the voting session this evening since school starts tomorrow.
Okay. Questions for the sheriff? Good with moving that?
I just want to thank Sheriff and his staff and Superintendent. We met on the school safety resource officers. I'd still would like to ask County Manager if he can get in touch with their board though. And myself and Commissioner Dooley sit down with their board members. We met with the superintendent, but I still want to try to get some more officers in these schools. No, they'd already set their budgets one thing that the superintendent stated she'd already set their budget and didn't feel like, I don't think she'd go back to the board and ask for more money, but I'd like to meet with their board. You know, myself and Commissioner Dooley like to meet with the board. Possibly, you know, yeah, we'd love to see two or each school, but at least another officers to fill in when somebody's out and a investigator to handle a lot of the stuff that goes around in schools before, you know, it's a lot larger than it is.
Yes.
So I asked county manager, could he do that for us, please?
Any other questions for the sheriff? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, county manager report.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I have a very brief report, but a very important one here. I'm just pleased to introduce our new county marshal to you, Angela Byers. Angela has been with the marshal's office since 18 and started her role as the county marshal last month. But in addition to that, has gone above and beyond and worked hard for certifications and doing taking the extra steps to place herself as a qualified candidate for this position. She does an outstanding job and just want to introduce her to you tonight, and feel free to any questions or anything I'd like for her to.
Welcome aboard in your new position. I know you've been here a while and you've been working in that department anyway and doing a good job. So just keep doing it.
Thank you. I'm excited at the opportunity. Thank you, Dave.
Yes, ma'am. That's all my report is.
All right, well, before we go on to the county attorney report, we got a little thing we got to do. Dave's gonna have a birthday here about August the 8th. So it's time to sing a little happy birthday for him. And so, all right, I guess, Kristen, you have to start. Sharon ain't here. By default. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you. Many more. Go ahead.
Hard to follow that, but I wanted to have, the last meeting we had, our auditor talk about where we're at financially, but since then I've had some conversations with staff and I wanted to see if Vicky come speak to our fund balance, because I think it was described that we're at 50% fund balance, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that there's some caveats to that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, wish I had some notes, but anyway, we did see an increase to fund balance last year. And your fund balance is made up of different components. You have the assigned and unassigned. The unassigned is kind of the money that you have available to fund capital or other improvements and things, personnel, whatever you want to do with it. So at the end of last year, our unassigned was at $10 million. Little over 10 million. So what that means is the board could decide to use that for just to set aside for a rainy day. You could hold on to it. You could spend it on something else. So part of the reason why we saw such a nice increase in our fund balance is because a lot of our expenses for last year were moved over to the ARPA fund. And so that absorbed a lot of the costs for public safety. So the ARPA funds are scheduled to last for about 3 years. So once that 3 years is up, the county will have to
Fund that.
reabsorb those costs. So, it's a great thing to have that, but at the same time, you've got to keep in mind that eventually those expenses will move back to general fund and the other funds. So does that answer?
That's, I just want it to be clear that we're not sitting on citizens' taxpayer dollars
No.
erroneously.
No,
That there is, due to the unusual increase in funds via the federal government that we ultimately all pay for, as we're seeing now through inflation,
right.
that stuff is encumbered. So we're not sitting on technically 50%.
Right. And also you want to look at it like this, your unassigned fund balance, you want to keep it strong because in case something would happen with the economy, you just don't know what could happen, but you want to be able to have at least 3 months in reserve.
Right.
And so because we have a $32 million budget, you're gonna have to have 7 to 10 million anyway to make up the difference for those 3 months if something would happen. I mean, I know that's kind of catastrophic, but at the same time, you want to make the best use of those funds.
Well, and another caveat to fund balance too, as you see on an annual basis is some of that is money that obviously that was budgeted, but it would have been used had we had full staff in all the different departments. So you have to kind of weigh everything when you're looking at fund balance and how everything will come out in the end. We've been able to add to fund balance every year since I've been in this job. But some of that too is associated with the work trying to fill in positions, and this board's done a lot trying to do that, and we're going to do some more.
Right.
And so there's a lot of caveats to it.
There are a lot of pieces to it. And, in the business world, you have retained earnings. And what that is the difference between your revenues and your expenses. Well, your fund balance in general fund is kind of the same thing, but you also have other components to it. So some of it is cash and some of it is not, but the 10 million unreserved, that would be cash. So. all
Thank you
right.
for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions for the staff or for David before we go on to the county attorney? Ms. Davis?
I do not have a public report. I think there's a couple of items I've heard mentioned for executive session. But I will note that I work with Ms. Byers extensively on the short-term rental. It's a very difficult ordinance that the county undertook, and she did a great job on that. So congratulations. Excited to have you in that position. Thank you.
So potential litigation?
Yes, that's my understanding.
No vote coming out of that. Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for the county attorney? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Is Emery with us? Yes. Okay, all right. Hearing none, please vote. He's an aye. Okay. So that is approved 3-0. And we'll take about a 10-minute break. We'll go into executive session. For those of you who are with us and listening online, we'll be back at 6 o'clock. A little bit of a change for today, but we had to go to 6 o'clock because it's our last hearing on our millage rate. So it has to be between 6 and 7. So that meeting will start at 6 o'clock. Thank you for your attendance.